Yeah, okay. Maybe sometime, maybe I'll wait until the week after next.
Okay, mic's on. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Monday, July 26, 2021 City Council meeting. Wonderful to see some people in the audience. For the last year, it's been pretty bare. Roll call. Everybody is present. Invocation, inspirational thought. We have Sid Keir of the Living Water Apostolate Church of Caribou. If you would please step up to the podium, introduce yourself, and lead us in invocation, please.
Thank you. You've already given my name, but I do pastor the Living Water Apostolic Church here in Caribou. We're on the Fort Road at the foot of the hill. But I count it a privilege to be invited to be here with you tonight. Before we pray, I thought I'd just share a real quick story that I think you may find both amusing and interesting. It's about a preacher one day was walking by a farmer's field, and as he walked by, he stopped and took notice that the fences were painted and the yard was mowed and the flowers were growing, the buildings were whitewashed, and the fields were beautiful. And he was just observing all that. About that time the farmer came out, and the preacher said, "My, what a beautiful farm God has blessed you with." And the farmer looked around and took stock of what he had, and he said, "Yes, he has, but you should have seen it when he had it all to himself." And of course, the recognition was God, in fact and indeed, blesses our efforts, but we have to put forth the effort. The psalmist David declared in the last verse of the 19th Psalm, he said, "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer." And so, as you convene here tonight and then you go about the business of the city, if we remember to keep our thoughts right, our hearts right, our actions right, God will in fact and indeed bless these efforts, and we'll see our city move forward in these trying times. Let's just pray together. Lord God of heaven and earth, we look to you tonight with thanksgiving. We thank you, Lord, for each and every soul that's here tonight, those that serve on our city council and leadership, those that are here, Lord, for business interest and interest in our community. And I pray, Lord God, that your hand would be upon this meeting and upon our hearts and minds, that we might indeed do that which is pleasing in your sight, that all things would be honest and forthright, that all things would be righteous and according to your perfect will. Let your Spirit, O God, lead and guide, that in all things you might be glorified. We thank you for it and give you praise in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
And with that, I'm going to leave you to your business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
With that, if the crowd would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I will wait for that.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Pledge allegiance. Public forum. Does anybody from the crowd have anything they'd like to? Anyone here? Are you? Public forum. Does anybody have? Danielle, do you have anything?
I do.
Councilor Terrio has something to read for public forum.
Mayor and councilors, this is from Amanda and Eric Jondro. Mayor and councilors, it has come to our attention that there will be a plaque installed at the new splash pad in honor of our children, and we are strongly opposed to the city doing this. Over the past several weeks, I've spoken with the Director of Parks and Recreation, Director of Events and Marketing, and I also sent a letter to the City Manager asking that this not be done, all to no avail. This is why we are submitting this request to you now. We do not believe that plaques should be publicly posted on any municipal building without the express written consent of the people directly involved, in this case us, because it involves our minor children. We do not give our permission to the donor, the City of Caribou, or the Parks and Recreation Department to publicly post our children's names anywhere. Please consider our children and the sensitive nature of this request. Thank you. Respectfully, Amanda and Eric Jondro. And as a side note, I just wanted to say that I agreed to read this because I agree that I don't think that without permission the city should be doing that, and perhaps maybe we should suggest to the council that a new policy be made that requires express written consent from the persons involved before any accolades or plaques or anything can be posted on any city property if it involves somebody else. So that's all I have on that.
Anybody else have anything for public forum? Doug, please.
Nice read, by the way. That's very nice. I would suggest that maybe the council seek legal before, spouting too hard as to what we have a right to try to place on anybody who's donating anything. That would be my suggestion. But thank you for the read.
Yep, we can do that, Doug. Anybody else have anything for public forum? Public forum is closed at 6:08. Next, number 5, A, B, C, and D, we have the July 7th City Council Personnel Meeting, regular council meeting, July 20th Personnel Meeting, and the July 21st Personnel Meeting. Or which is the council? I believe the minutes.
Make a motion that we move the slate.
Second?
Moved and seconded to move the slate. Discussion. Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Vaughn.
No.
Morale.
Aye.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Carries. Okay, now we've got 6A. We've got the tax acquired property bid list. So page 9 and 10 of your council packets. Do we have any? We'll let Penny go with this. I guess start with. We have. What do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3 properties that are up for.
That have bids.
Your finance director is here, the tax collector.
Would you two bring us up to speed, Carol, please? Come up to the podium.
So on property number 23, you're correct, there are three properties there. So on property 23, there was one bid for $4,800. And the minimum bid on that was $2,500. I don't know if you want to do them individually or?
Yeah, please just bring us up to speed. There isn't any problems with these properties, so to speak. They've all met the minimum bids.
I think 16 Sincock was one of, if I'm not mistaken, one of the big properties, is that correct?
Yes.
They were interested in that property, so I'm not sure.
Okay, so that'll be up to the council. If we move, okay, we can do these individually.
Which properties were the big, were you guys?
34 Collins and 16.
Is that something we want to hold off on until
30 in it.
I think
Until
that's
after-
a smart move.
executive session?
What was the second one?
And 16 Collins Street.
30
16
North
Collins Street,
Street.
34.
Sincock.
Sincock
16
Street.
Sincock Street, 34 Collins Street.
Gotcha.
34 Collins.
So were all 3 of these properties something that big has shown an interest in?
I know that 34 Collins Street, you and I have kind of talked about this. Griffin St. Peter has expressed interest in doing something because it's just adjacent to his property. And that would get it back into his hands as a taxpayer. From what I hear, that Main Equity Builders is just looking to put trailers on most of these properties. And I'm not, I would rather something else be done with them besides that. And I don't think even the ordinance allow for that to happen in these areas. So,
Which, once again, remind me, so it was
34 Collins Street
and 16
is
Sincock.
16
Sincock
Sincock are the ones that
And-
bid.
34, 16, 15 Nancy Street, and we were also going to talk about 30 North Street.
30 North, okay.
Okay.
So all 3 of them, maybe we can.
4.
All 4, excuse me, because there's 4,
16.
yeah, 16, okay, but there was no bid on that one.
And 15 Nancy Street.
15 Nancy,
There's no bid.
do we want to,
And
how does council want to
30
proceed with
North
this? Do we want to wait until after we discuss this a little later in the meeting?
We can wait, but on 34 Collins Street, my personal feelings are that Griffin and Christie St. Peter should get that property because it's just adjacent to their dwelling. The other ones we can go ahead and go talk about, that's fine.
Okay, so we're gonna move by this agenda item, right, for the moment. I'll put this on hold. We'll put this down under other business after we discuss this, discuss some of the stuff in executive session. Council have a problem with that?
Nope.
Sure. Thank you. Let's put that on hold. Library board appointment, which is,
Your library director is here, so she wants to come talk about that.
come on. How you doing?
I wrote you guys a note.
No, it's not the same.
Official memo. Annalie Marker was on our board and they were in New York this morning on their way to Utah. So we do have Lisa Wilcox, who used to work at the library and is super, super excited to be on the board. And she's amazing and wonderful, and please say yes.
Make a motion to appoint Lisa Wilcox to the library board.
Second?
Motion to appoint Lisa Wilcox to the library board. Move second in discussion. Air.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Dario.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. There you go.
Thank you. Oh wait, I
Yeah.
can't leave. That's next.
Where's Peter?
You're next. Introduction of
There he is.
our new library director.
This is Peter.
Hi, Peter.
He's been working with us for a little over a year, and he's wonderful in all ways, and normally very excited and personable. And
Scared to death.
yeah, I don't know what else. So this is the council.
Hi, I am Peter Baldwin, 25. I'm currently taking over for Hope as of August 3rd. I look forward to continuing all the great programming that she's produced at the library, as well as trying to increase some of the elderly programming that we've seen at the library.
I'm going to teach him how to use emojis.
Hopefully you will see a continuation of some of the things that Hope sends you for your monthlies.
Any questions?
Perfect.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Welcome.
Thank you. We have
Welcome.
another meeting to attend, so we love you all and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks,
See ya,
Hope.
thanks.
Thanks, Peter.
Public hearings, let's see, we've done a bunch of these. We got ordinance number 13, series charter amendment filling council vacancies. I will open the public hearing at 6:15 p.m. I think we've all been over these. Anybody in the public have anything they'd like to bring up? These things have gone to the charter committee. Okay, I got to wait at least 1 minute, don't we? I'll close the public hearing at 6:16 p.m. And I'll open the public hearing for ordinance number 14, 2021, series charter amendment, employee political activities. We'll open that at 6:16 p.m. Does anybody have any public input on that from the council?
What was changed?
On this one, I'm not sure.
On both of them, actually, if we're gonna.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Send these out, I'd like whoever come up with it to explain what they're changing.
Tom?
Hold on, I'm getting there. So,
It's underlined, it's new. So I think if it's underlined, it's new.
in the ordinance number 13, 2021, you can, on page 15, you can scroll down, and we changed from 30 days to 60 days. We ran into that last December, and we would have had to have made an appointment at like the 11th hour on the 28th or 29th of December before a new council came in. So we changed that to 60 days. And if you read, prior to selecting a person to fill a vacancy, the council shall provide a 14-day public notice of the vacancy and invitation for eligible persons to submit a letter of interest and resume to the a resume, excuse me, to the council for consideration. Council shall be limited to select from only those persons who submit letters of interest. This provision shall also apply to the posts of mayor, and we struck out council person because that's who we'd be replacing. Deputy mayor, however, the person's filing a mayor or deputy mayor vacancy shall not assume such roles unless so elected by the council in accordance to section 2.03. So we changed that on the other one. Various changes. So if you read down page 17 to the bottom, we struck out a few things. You can read it all, but I'll read the sentence. Further, no city employee shall knowingly or willfully participate in any aspect of any political campaign on behalf or opposition of any candidate for public office. We had struck out city. We put in public office during their assigned work hours. This section shall not be construed to prevent an employee from performing their regular duties under state Freedom of Access Act guidelines, nor limit any person's right to exercise rights as a citizen to express opinions or to cast a vote, nor shall it be construed to prohibit any person from active participation in political campaigns outside of work hours. We struck at any other level of government. So basically, if you're working, you work. And those are the two major changes.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody have any more questions regarding these? Public hearing's closed at 6:19 p.m. And future reference, the Charter Committee is going to meet shortly
August 4th at 4
and
p.m.
decide which one of these. I think we have quite a few out there that we've had public hearings on it to bring back to the council recommendation to which of these that we're going to potentially put to referendum in November. So
Correct.
perfect. Okay, financial reports, Carl, for June. No, we don't have.
We're not gonna,
So these are not going to referendums?
not tonight, no.
Not tonight. They're gonna meet and,
There's so many of them that we
there's
need
like 8
to
of them, I think.
kind of
right?
look
Yeah.
at which ones are most priority.
They're gonna come back.
So these can't be an option unless they get passed here first.
We know, Danielle.
Okay, yeah.
We're just gonna go back because we have so many of them that we want to, like Lou said, priority at this point.
So we don't have too many on there. So everybody clear on that?
Streamline them, yeah.
Okay, Carl, everybody's got the financials in here. He's gonna give us a brief update. If anybody has any questions, just jump in there as we're going along. Carl?
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Councilor. So looking at page 19, the financials for June of 2021. Total assets on hand as of June 30th was 6.6 million. Cash on hand, 2.7 million. And I just wanted to update you on the tax receivable. 3/4 of the way down the page, 2021 tax receivable reflected 55,000 for the month of June, bringing prepayments 346,328. On the next page, towards the bottom, we got total liabilities of 5.052 million. Going over to page 23, our fund balance at the end of June was 1.6 million, 33,000. Going over to page 26, expense report for June. So the June expenses for the month were 649,215, and we are below budget for the half the year would be 50%, so we're down 7.9%. But like we alluded to last month, the capital improvement expense line, right above the total, we don't expense those until the commitment is set. So once the commitment is set and we expense the 745,000, that will put us right in line with the 50% where we should be for the end of the year, or for the halfway through the year. Moving over to page 31, the revenues for June, for the month of June, was $476,034.50. And again, we're only at 27% collected for the half of the year. But once we set commitment, then tax revenue will go in under line 10, general government, which will boost our revenue up to close to the 50% mark. And with this report, I also included the investment report on page 36. And the only significant change from last quarter to this quarter is that we locked in $3 million for the retirement fund into a one-year CD at 0.8% with, I'm sorry, that should be a Rustic Federal Savings and Loan. I apologize for that.
No problem, Greg.
That was where we
Next time
had.
I'll give you a little less interest on that.
Yeah.
So they did give us a quarter extra percent on that too, and that is a typo. That's where we had the money in a savings account at Machias, so we're moving it from Machias to Rustic Federal Savings and Loan. Any questions on the June financials?
Questions from council?
Is Dave advertising for a position? No, that wasn't Dave. I think that was General Government. Where did I see that? Yeah, Bangor Daily News. Are we advertising for a position up there?
It would only be the manager's position. If that's the only one I could think of, that would be under 10.
I can't think of any.
So have we sent it out yet, or?
It's been on the website.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know.
Did
But
we send it
Bangor
out to the
Daily
Bangor
News,
Daily
I don't.
News? You're to charge here for the Bangor Daily News
Oh, that's probably for public hearings.
for them.
Yeah,
Republican.
most likely it's public hearings. It's-
Public hearings, which you just presented, it wouldn't be about job applications.
Yeah.
I did have a post that went in the paper regarding the open seats that are coming available.
Yeah,
But
but
I
this
had
was
to-
from 02858 Bangor Daily News, $175. But came out of their office supply line.
Yeah, any advertisement to the Bangor Daily, most recently would have been probably for the September papers, right?
So what was this one for?
I'd have
Let
to
me
go
know.
back and look, yeah.
Let me know.
Anybody else have more questions for Carl? Thank you. Oh, you.
Mark, I just have one question. I didn't quite get, the higher rate was 1.8, that 36?
0.8.
Oh, 0.8, okay. Thanks. That's a good percentage.
Chair will entertain a motion to accept the financials.
Move to accept financials?
Second?
Move to second to accept the June financials discussion. Air,
No.
Paloma,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
Morale,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. We accept the June financials, council. And the manager's report, Penny has that, and if you could, does anybody have any specific questions before she goes through one of the ideas here? You can just give us a, you don't have to go through every one of them line by line, but if you get to highlights, however you'd like.
Right, there's a lot of them that say no updates since last report
So-
anyway. Riverfront Power Plants, County Environmental Engineering is working on the revised Phase 1 environmental site assessment and scope of work. I also have an appointment on Wednesday to go with Mr. Caldwell over there, and he's supposed to be coming in to sign his paperwork. Broadband is later tonight. We're going to hear more about that. Events and marketing. Christina, did you want to talk at all about that? Okay.
Excuse me.
So, yes.
Just 1 minute. On the list for the economic projects, under 60 Access Highway, what does that mean, investigating Mekon Street?
So 60 Access Highway is on this list because they are working on a business venture at that location. And so they're in the engineering phase of that. So BRSA and Presco have been investigating a lot of different things, like the right-of-ways for DOT,
Okay.
our setbacks, and also Mekon Street, which actually you know, from where the industrial park is up. But we've also determined from reading the deeds, there are 2 like 40-foot right-of-ways from the access highway back to that too.
Okay.
So they also have to, in their development plans, work around that too.
Okay.
So that's something that we've been spending some time looking on. I think when I had worked on this, I hadn't finished working on that, but it's pretty much. We got an email, I think, is Ken here today? Ken. We got an email today on that. They're still working through that stuff, right, Ken? Yeah. Bird's Eye, Haley Ward is still working on the scope of work for that also. The Federal American Rescue Plan Act, that's on tonight's agenda also for your consideration to work with the county on that. Oh, I end up skipping over events and marketing. So Caribou Cares About Kids and Caribou Days, July 29th through August 1st. July 29th, Wreaths Across America's traveling display trailer will be downtown as part of the Thursdays on Sweden Street. There's also the ribbon cutting at the school. I believe, Mayor Smith, you had something in your mailbox out there about that.
Yes, I do.
A letter for the whole council, yeah.
Yes, and I'll grab that too.
Okay.
I can read that under reports and discussion by mayor and council members.
Yep. And then on Saturday at 10:30 is the splash pad ribbon cutting, and the parade is July 30th. Do we know how the weather's looking for that yet, or do we know? Oh, 2 thumbs down. Oh, that's good.
It could change, there's time for it.
That's 10. Okay, that's good. Facade improvement grant, there really wasn't any change from last time. The storage on Limestone Street, you can drive by. Actually, you don't even have to drive by because I feel like you can see it from everywhere in town. And the fire structural work, there was an inspection on the 21st. The inspector conducted an inspection for the warranty, and the report is forthcoming. I almost think maybe after I wrote this that I sent that to you also. The splash pad, is there anything more you want to say about that, Gary?
All systems go.
All systems go. Everyone seems to be having a great time. Fire station renovations, we did receive another bid for sprinklers. Sprinklers are needed prior to renovations. I sent that out. The investment policy, there was a meeting tonight. On the trailer park closure on the 20th, our code enforcement officer, Ken Murchison, drafted a letter to remind the remaining residents of the November 17th, 2021 final park closure date. There was an airport meeting on 7/20, and we have another one scheduled for Thursday at 4 p.m. I've also had several emails going back with Seth Lovely from Stantec. He was on vacation last week, but he was getting me caught up on everything that I asked from last week. And everything seems to be working well in this space as far as the AV system, unless someone has got any text tonight. I haven't really been paying attention to my phone. And no administrative approval since our last report.
Anybody have any questions for Penny or anything at all here on that? Well, thank you very much, Penny.
Thank you.
And now we will go to what everybody's been waiting for, right? 9A Resolution 70-2021 establishing the 2021 property tax rates and related deadlines. I believe that we have been holding off on this for about a month.
It has been a month. Yeah.
Has been a month, so since June 14th, we were awaiting some on the legislature and some things from the RSU. Everybody's got this in here. There's several different. Has any of this changed since you've proposed it to us last time?
Well, yes, because with the governor's state of civil emergency, any exemption is timely filed until literally the 30th. So I have had to accept exemptions, and I got some last week. So that stuff has changed. and this afternoon, the finance director and I worked on, and I was using an old number for something. But it's no wonder, because I've literally done this 3 times this year, and usually we do it 1 time. And so I do have the tax rate calculation form is in here with the new values, and we double-checked everything today just to make sure. And it reflects the lower amount that's going to be requested by the RSU. So that line 10 changed since the last time, which has increased the overlay at the bottom.
So we have several different things here to vote on. What are the wishes of the council? We can do these individually, we can move the slate. It's totally up to anyone to make a motion on how they want to handle this. Just to clarify, if we set the recommendation as no change from last year, the mill rate would be the same. Mark, go ahead, please.
Is this overlay that I have in my packet the correct one? $133,000?
Nope, it's now 194.
194 is the new number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to write it on the paper for you?
Nope.
Okay. Oh, you got a pen. Okay. 194, 790, 77.
Okay.
I had emailed it this afternoon,
Right.
but yeah.
I didn't know if that had changed to this. Or,
Yeah.
Okay. This year we're receiving, I'm going to give round ballpark numbers, roughly about $400,000 of additional income between, mostly of it's revenue sharing, over last year's budgeted number. We're also going to receive, we're also budgeted an extra $100,000 due to the growth of the city, which is a good thing. So that's $500,000. And now the school department, our school tax obligation is $119
for this year.
$119 for this year. And so that's $600,000 and a little bit of change of additional money that's over last year's budgeted number, give or take. I believe the intent of the school department was to give the taxpayers a break. And out of the $600,000 of additional revenue, I do not see why we can't, let's just pick a number, I'll give $100,000 for property tax relief, as was intended when they went to 55% for the schools, along with a nice letter to the school department, school board, and the superintendent for us being able to pass this on through to the Caribou taxpayers. So, if it was $100,000, that would mean the overlay would be
94,000.
94,000, and the overlay is in our budget in case something was, in case one of the other departments went up. $100,000 back to the Caribou taxpayers would represent, give or take, about a third of a mil. No, 0.3, something like that. I had it figured. So, you can progress any ways you would like, but I don't know how I vote on reducing the mill rate. At what point during the voting process do I get to do that?
Let's take these one at a time.
Is there a motion in here to set the mill rate?
I'm going through right now, if you're trying to cut 100,000, which is what I'm hearing. Am I hearing that correctly? From the overlay.
I'm not asking to cut anything.
Well, no, but
I'm
I mean from the
asking
overlay.
For the overlay.
Yeah.
I guess that's where the 100,000 would come
Yep,
from
yep,
this plan.
Yep. Maybe somebody needs to play some music or something while I'm calculating. but- Of course, everything in here is going to change. I mean, just so you know, like everything in this resolution will change too.
Counselor Terrio?
Yeah. Before you do that, I would just simply like to make a motion that we keep the tax mill at 0.02355, no change from last year. I feel that last year with the mill rate reduction, that was a good reduction for the taxpayers. And to have a little bit of extra money this year coming from revenues, we don't have to raise any taxes, but this would go a long ways towards the buildings that need repair. The things that will come up in the meantime, things that we've been putting off or kicking the can down the road, and I think that this is a good place to start with leaving the mill rate as it is and having some extra money for what's down the road, what we're going to come up with for expenses and things. So that's my motion, to leave it as it is.
I second.
Moved and seconded to set the tax rate at 0.02355. Discussion from council, please. Tom?
So where's this extra money gonna go? Who has discretion over it? Are we gonna put it back to the rec? Are we gonna put it to the library? What are we gonna do with the money that we don't have to pay the school? You know, where's it gonna go? I have a problem with that, because in the past, we've done that and it's gone all over the place. You know, and we had, there's no accountability of where this money goes. You know, we've got reserves for the rec that have been tapped. We need stab-proof vests for the fire department. We need all this stuff, and I mean, I would rather just, if we do this, if we keep it at 0.2355, then we need to have a clear path on what to do with this extra money.
Yeah.
There needs to be a clear path. That way, everybody knows where it goes. And it just can't go over here, this, that, and the other thing, you know. My deal with the not having to pay the school that much money, give it back to school-related functions. Where do the kids go after school? They go to the rec, they go to the library, they go to the Nylander. Well, they used to go to the Nylander. You know, there's plenty of places that we can put this.
So when the money, I think I asked this question a little earlier to Penny, so when we get this $119,000, this is gonna go into a line item, and then for council to determine what we want to do with it? Is that correct?
Well, it's just we're not going to be billed that
We're
money.
not going to be billed that much, so we
money.
have an extra, okay.
Yeah, but since we're not gonna, we had anticipated before, your mill rate calculations was an anticipation that we would have to pay it.
Correct.
Now we don't.
Originally, yeah.
So, and if you want to keep it the same as last year, well, now we're not having to pay it, so where's that money gonna go? That we had anticipated. It's either you give it back to taxpayers, or you have an anticipation on what to do with it. Because we do not have to spend it. So.
Councillor Willie?
To go one step from what you're saying, you had mentioned, because it is coming from the school, to perhaps give it back. Didn't we have something to do, didn't we buy steel that we're going to put onto a building? Wouldn't that be something that we could plug in and not kick that can down the road?
We've got the steel, we've got broadband.
Oh, or broadband?
We've got we've got a whole bunch of stuff.
So we certainly, which is why I agree with
Yeah.
Joan, is we certainly have things that we can use the money for. And I agree, it shouldn't be willy-nilly, you know,
No.
it just float around. But I think some things have come across our table and we're scratching our head saying, how are we going to make this work? This might be a start. So,
Well, councils pass, at least the past 2 years that I've been on, we've said, go out and find the money, and lo and behold, you have. It's there. So,
well, now we've got a little more and we can apply it to some projects.
just as long as we have a line item.
Yeah, that's fine.
I have no problem with
I have
that.
no problem with
That's,
finance.
I can 100% agree with that, and we
Yeah.
can discuss, we can bring this right up at the next meeting, too. Well, this is
We'll
discussion.
bring it up right now.
Bring it up, exactly what we want to do with it.
Well, not exactly what, just a line item. And then, as we look at these projects, we can say, okay, steel for the, because we're not putting that other stuff back on. Steel for the rec, you know, whatever.
Could you just put it like building repairs as one and perhaps broadband as another and
Well,
just,
I would say, I mean, if we
road
earmark it
repairs.
right now for all this stuff, then what happens when something comes up that, you know?
well, that was my point, was that there were going to be various things, so I guess I
yeah, I
don't
mean, I
understand
would-
really what you're looking for.
A line that says, you know, 2021, we'll call it whatever you want. you know?
Unexpected expenses?
Whatever you want, I don't
Okay,
care.
sure.
But the fact of it is that the council should have sole discretion on what to do with that.
Mhm.
You know, because years past, we've asked where this rainy day fund is, and we finally found it. And, you know, I don't want this to go by the wayside. I want to figure out what to do with these extra funds.
And that could be a nice workshop that we could, you know, do sometime.
Not during the
Okay,
summer.
well, oh, I didn't say it had to be the summer.
Well, I'd rather sleep this out pretty quick, you know, and figure out what we're gonna do with this.
A rainy day or something.
Well, no.
I'm all
rainy
for
day
putting
is
this
an
in-
emergency. so-
No, a rainy day for the workshop.
Oh, we don't stop on a rainy day.
Work it out.
Any further discussion on this? I think council's.
Just one more try at it. We heard from several candidates that were running for the manager's position that the growth of the city is coming from farmers and people that have real estate buildings in town for their businesses mostly, and investment people. I can't think of a better way to share this additional $600,000 and giving it back to those people so that they can turn around and invest it even more into our community.
Anybody else have any more discussion on this?
So if we set this mill rate, we didn't cut any positions in the town, correct? We were able to build a splash pad under this, correct? Gary?
Yeah.
We were able to build a splash pad. We didn't raise taxes.
We covered the county.
We covered the county
We think we can fix the river road
by ourselves.
by ourselves.
That's incredible. That's wonderful.
That's not gonna be an increase. So to the naysayers out there, Gary Aiken and everybody else, I have no problem calling Gary Aiken out. The sky was falling. We were gonna raise it a mill. Guess what? We didn't. So, and we plan on keeping this going. I don't see why we shouldn't. The ideology of taxing people to oblivion has stopped, and I would hope it would continue to stay that way, because that's not, you can't tax your way to prosperity. Let's face it, growth comes from the private sector. And that's kind of why I agree with Mark on this one. You know, I just, It's a slippery slope when you ask the city to hold money like that. No. There you go.
A couple of different conversations. We got one to set the mill and your questions, which I think is a separate, could be a separate motion. What do we do with the 116,000? Is that your question? How do we allocate that?
From the school, well,
You didn't know.
Mark says 600,
Well, it's 600
right?
additional revenue.
Is that what I understood, Mark? You can
400 of additional money from main revenue sharing, 100,000 of additional money coming from growth, and 119,000 coming from the fact that we don't have to pay the school back so much. The money from the school was meant, in my opinion, from all I've read, from all the intentions of everybody, was for property tax relief. I'm very confident the school could have kept that money and used it to spend it on the students. But they gave it back to the, I assumed they were wanted to give it back to the Caribou taxpayer. It still leaves us, even if we took 100,000 and dropped the mill rate, it would still give us $94,000 in an overlay account. And that's it.
So we still have some money to be able to do the steel on the wreck?
Correct.
I would much rather do that and lower the mill rate. But that's just me. I'm 1 to 7.
What was your comment, Tom?
I would rather, like Mark said, keep 100,000 and do what we need to do. Lower the mill rate. Hand it on to the taxpayers. Because that allows us to do what we need to do. Gary, how much was your steel project?
Well, I paid the steel bill, which was $15,666, and I still have to go out to an RFP to install it. So I haven't gotten to it yet. So I'm not guessing on numbers until I can put that out there, so.
Chief, how much was your stab-proof vest for all the paramedics at the fire station?
$9,500, only one quote.
$9,500
For one, that's one quote so far.
for all the paramedics? And Dennis Marker didn't think that was a smart idea? He basically told you, didn't want to hear hot tell of it.
Not the plan.
I don't know, instead of an ice cream party, I'd rather get stab-proof vests, in my opinion. But I think $100,000 would go pretty far to getting personal protective equipment, especially in this day and age of the drug issues that are around here for our paramedics and for the steel.
I'm confused. I agree with what you're saying. I'm just confused. He's wanting to pull 100,000 to put into the tax where you're wanting to spend it 100,000 on.
No.
Okay.
No, we want to
Clarify.
pull 100,000 out, put it in this account, and then reduce it. Correct, Mark?
It was 194, so there's a little give there, you know,
Yeah.
so, I mean, and
Why
don't get
not?
me wrong, I mean, I just threw out 100,000, I mean, if it's 90,000, that's $250,000. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's gotta be exactly 100. I mean, I just think something.
Throw out a number, people.
Something ought to go back to the Caribou. Well, I
Absolutely.
threw 100, but
Yeah.
I'll change it to 90.
Well, I made a motion and it was seconded, so
Yeah, we're
we
gonna-
should, you might as well.
we're doing a discussion. I'm just
you
gonna
vote,
put-
and then
Hey.
if it's something else, if it doesn't pass, then you can work
A
on
year ago,
something.
we discussed, attention to council, we reduced the mill rate by 1 mil. And there was discussion by some other councilors, let's do a half and a half a mil. Was thrown out there, and we did the full mill last year. I'm comfortable with. So over the course of the 2 years, we've reduced it by a mil, whether it was a half last year and half this year, we're still at the same point. So I'm fine with leaving it the way it is, my opinion. Any more discussion on this? Go
I
ahead,
was going to
Council.
say, I think we have a lot of projects coming up in the next year, and we really should be maybe careful to keep something.
And my concern is when we looked at the budget last year, we were kind of limited because of that cut. And if we go ahead and cut again, we're looking at a new year budget that we're limiting again. You know, I'm all for lower taxes as well, but I think there's a lot going on that we need to pay attention to and take care of first. And if we can get by without raising taxes, I think that's a big win on our part.
I would just like to remind the council that when you pass the savings down to private industry, they're going to want to expand on their business, which therefore creates more taxable revenue for the city. It's more appeasing for a company outside to say, let's come to Caribou because taxes are lower. Again, more revenue. But hey, that's your prerogative.
Any other discussion? Air.
No.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
No.
Morale.
No.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Mill rate stays the same for the next coming year. That was number one. Now we have other things to set the tax commitment date. Do we need to do these individually? Penny? Is that
Yeah, it would be good if you did.
Number two, set the tax commitment for 2021 property taxes to be committed. The tax collector commitment date of, you got July 30th recommended?
That's Friday, yep.
Got it.
Do these need votes?
Yeah, each one of these got to go through. Let's do them individually, please.
So moved.
Second?
Motion to set the tax commitment date for Friday, July 30th. Discussion. Air.
Yep.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
No.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. We have 6-1 on that. You're following these along anyway. Number three is staff recommendation, typically 10 days to 2 weeks after we're doing payable. Be doing payable August 13th, 2021. Is that what you're recommending?
Yep.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and seconded to establish the tax date as proposed here. Discussion. Air.
Yep.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
No.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. 6-1. Number three. Number four, establish a date for interest to begin on any delinquent property taxes, and I believe the staff recommendation is Friday, October 1st, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll establish the date. Discussion. Here.
Sure.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
No.
Morale.
No.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye, to set the interest for property taxes Friday, October 21. We've got a couple more here. Establish the rate of interest to be charged on delinquent 2021 property taxes. Set the rate of interest on delinquent taxes at staff recommendation at 6%, and that 6% will begin October 1st, as the previous.
So moved.
Second.
Moving second to set the taxes at 6%, beginning October 1st. Discussion. Air.
Yep.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
No.
Morale.
No.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Set the tax rate, or excuse me, set the interest rate for that. What's this next one? Seeking fraud providers recommended that municipals close their last business day year to
Can we do this one?
You missed one.
Did I miss one?
Yeah.
Excuse me, sorry. Number
6.
6 recommended, oh, establish a rate of interest for the overpayment or abatement of property taxes. Set the rate on the overpayment. So if it,
Zero.
zero, that's the same as we usually do in the
Yep.
past, right?
Yep.
Just clarify on that, okay.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Air. Chair. Palmer.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morale.
No.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-1. I believe. This last one here, I don't know.
This last one is something new. So we're going into a period for the next 3 years that the last business day of the year is not December 31st because of the way that the holidays fall with the days of the week. So the state calendar for holidays, we won't be working on December 31st. So the reason why I have this in here is what I would like to do is close at 1 so that our staff has the time that they need to complete year end while Trio is open. Because Trio won't be open either on the 31st, which is our software provider. Of course, the problem is in most of the municipalities either close their books June 30th or December 31st. So everyone's going to be, so you've got, I don't know, half and half. And so, especially where it's a different day this year, I would like to print it on the tax bills when the last day is to pay. Just like I always put on there, the last day to pay before interest starts is September 30th. By deciding on this now, we can print on the bills too, or also, that we're not open on the 31st. Because we have a lot of people who come in on the 31st to pay, but we're not going to be open. So if you're planning on coming in on the 31st, because that's what you always do, you may not realize that the office is not going to be open on the 31st because of the way the calendar falls with holidays. So this gives everyone, and I mean, this is something that we need to get out in other ways too, on the website and on Channel 1301. But if it's on the tax bills, at least we can say it's on the tax bills that we're not open on the 31st. That's my thought with that. In looking at the state's calendar for holidays for the next, actually 3 years. I think it's 3. It's been so long since I wrote this. Yeah, next 3 years because of the calendar.
You want a motion? We just,
You need something? Yes or no? Or the other? Or
I'll move to support closing the office at 1 p.m. on Thursday, December 30th, so that staff can complete their year end.
Which does not mean people will be going home at 1.
Right.
It's just
Right.
the other people that are working here, we have plenty of filing to do. And
Yeah.
believe me, if they don't have them, they can come to my office and file.
Yeah.
We have plenty to do until the normal end of the day.
Right.
It just gives the finance department time while Trio is open. So if there's anything that needs to be done, it gets done on time for the end of the year stuff. And that's something that Trio recommends, closing early.
Do we want to do this a year at a time or for the 3 years?
Yeah, just do it. You can just do it a year at a time.
For-
Keep it simple. But I'm just saying the next 3 years we're in the same
Okay.
problem with the December
Yeah,
31st
we'll
not
see how
being
it works
open.
out. Okay, so we can do that.
This is the first of the 3.
Okay, for 2021.
Second one.
Moving to seconded. Discussion.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand the concept of, we pay for Trio every year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to understand the concept of paying for a software service where we don't dictate our own terms and some software does it for us.
Well, we're actually, the state is dictating when we have to take holidays. I mean, you can
No, no,
say,
it's not
no,
about
we're
the
not,
holiday.
we're not
It's-
going
it's
to close
about-
at 1 and not give them time to do everything. It's just
I don't know. I just,
It's just closing the year. If you don't want to close the 1, that's fine. But I'm just going to tell you, we're not going to be open on the 31st because it's a state holiday.
that's all fine and good.
know.
But why are we, why,
It's
why
just
are,
a
why are we
suggestion.
why are we limiting our citizens? If they want to come in, they should be able to come in. I don't know.
It's just a
That's kinda how I
suggestion. It's a suggestion to get things done while we have support. Things happen, I don't know things from the finance end. I can tell you in the tax committing end, I can run my tax commitment while Trio's open because my module runs in the background and they can still take tax payments, register cars, and my process doesn't interfere with them. But they can't do that and close the books for everything and still be open. That's all. It was just trying to think about how do we get things done? How do we get them done when we have support out there? But you don't have to do it. It's just a suggestion of observing how things happen, observing how the flow goes at the end of the year, and trying to make it as stress-free as possible and to get things done. But the most important thing is to have on the tax bills we're not going to be open on the 31st. The thing is, I'm putting that line on either way. If you decide, yes, we'll go ahead and close at 1, then we're closing at 1 on the 30th. If you say, no, I don't want to do that, that's fine. I'm still going to put on there, the last day to pay this year is going to be the 30th because it's different, you know. We have a lot of people who come in the last day. And we want to make it so that people don't say, how come I didn't know this? And even if you put it on the tax bill, you're still going to have people that say, how did I not know this? Because they'll read it once or skim it, and then it's done.
Did we do this last year? On
No.
Thursday? Did we do this last year on Wednesday? Because the 30th was Wednesday last year.
No, it would be the 31st is when we
Okay,
would have closed last
closed,
year.
yeah. So did you do the same
Did we
thing
close?
on the 30th?
Did we close early last year? I think we did. 1 o'clock. So they closed last year at 1 o'clock.
So
I'm just
what's
deciding
changed?
this now instead of closing. Instead of deciding this, like, when was it decided? Like a week before that we were closing at 1? Yeah, it was a week before. My idea is, why not decide it now? Give people instead of waiting until a week before. Just trying to be proactive, that's all.
I feel as long as it goes on the tax bill and it states that very clearly, I don't see a problem with it personally.
Maybe even put something on the door the week before.
Right, and I'm
Reminding
sure that
people.
they do that because when something is different, I know that the clerk's office and also Denise on the doors too tries to let people know that.
Yep.
But I know myself, I don't read the signs when I come in here every day.
I know.
Well, Penny, I'll give you this. At least you're telling us, because the previous one didn't. You know, I'll give you that.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just.
Thank you for
I
bringing
just
it to our
want
attention,
to make
you
things work well, you know, and that's all. So why not, you know, if you decide not to do it, you decide not to do it. I just think that, you know, we don't want the city's books like something crazy going on until the first business day of the year, and then they can't open the first business day of 2022 because something couldn't get done that last day, that's all.
Some more discussion on this?
I just gotta double check.
Yes.
You said December 31st is a state holiday?
Yes.
What's the holiday?
Well, see, January 1 is on a Saturday.
So they've got to.
So that means with the state holiday calendar, we take the holiday on Friday because the real day is on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
And next year,
And then
it will be
next
the
year it'll
same
be
thing
on
because it'll be on
Sunday.
Sunday
Yeah.
and they'll flip.
Well,
will it
no,
be
because the
Monday?
31st will be on like a Saturday.
Right.
And
Right.
and then the first will
Right.
be Monday, but then we'll have, Sunday, and we'll have Monday off.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the 31st is on Sunday. I mean, it's a very weird situation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I just try to educate the public so that they are not caught
Yeah.
blindsided, that's
Unknown.
all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Any more discussion on this item? Air,
Yeah.
Roma,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
Brown,
No.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
No. Motion carries. Next, that covers introduction of ordinance number 15, Charter Amendment Public Library Committee. What was this?
Okay, so
Excuse me here.
Hope left, but, so the library board back in
Oh, yes.
May had sent an email with their minutes saying that they wanted to make a change, and because this is this is covered in the charter, so it's actually a charter amendment. So currently it says that the council shall annually elect for a period of 5 years, and they want to change it to 3, and 3 is in line with everything else. I don't know why the library was 5. Everything else is 3. So this is just an introduction.
Okay, so.
So this was brought forward by them apparently in May, so.
So does this need any action? or-
It needs to be introduced.
That's all.
Introduce the ordinance. Number 15 dash.
2021.
Not dash. 2021 series charter amendment, public library.
Okay, so
That's it.
you'll schedule a public hearing for us on this, the next,
Well, it'll probably be the last meeting in
Last in
August,
August,
right?
yeah.
Because we don't have time for the next one, which is the 9th. Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
After, so we got that taken care of, Riverfront Committee, 58. City ordinance.
And that's Ken. Do you want to talk about that, Ken?
Sure. Evening, Mayor Smith and councilors. Well, September 10th of 2020, in conversations we were having around the city, we realized that the riverfront redevelopment had been listed as a priority in the city comprehensive plan and outlined prominently in the Caribou Recreation Trails Plan. In the Trails Plan is the only incomplete part of that plan, and that's just all been completed. This is once a thriving area of our community. The riverfront has become neglected, underused, and forgotten asset of the city. The goal of this committee is to identify and prioritize riverfront assets, set goals, and ultimately restore interest in renewed commercial, residential, and recreational opportunities while celebrating the riverfront as a vital part of our community. Since that time, we've pulled together an ad hoc committee. The committee is currently made up of Dan Bagley, Chair of the Planning Board, Frank McElwain, Planning Board, retired educator, historian, Renaissance man. Jane Murchison, civil engineer, Jay Cam, senior planner at NBC, Mark Draper, who's the director at Heuristic Waste Solutions, also sits on the board of environmental protection at the state level. Christine Solomon works for DFAS, also a planning board member, and Brian Massey, who's a neighborhood citizen right down there on the riverfront. Staff people are Christine Kane Gibson, Gary Marquis, and myself. We met monthly, and then realized when we started talking about designating the Riverfront Redevelopment District, we identified an area roughly 5 miles long. Of the 12 miles that the river meanders through the city of Caribou, we identified right around 5 miles. Then we realized that we were talking about things like master plans and inclusion into the comprehensive plan update. And at that point, we realized that we really need council support. We need to be an official council of the city of Caribou. And so right around March 22nd last year, we penned a letter, sent it forward, and it kind of languished on the manager's desk until recently. I brought it back to Penny. She saw fit that this should come to the planning board for your consideration. Again, we're hoping to be an official committee of the city. We will be doing several things at once. We're looking at the comprehensive plan at the planning board level as an update. We're thinking about a master plan. So how do we approach the Department of Transportation and say we're interested in acquiring the railroad siding that runs right through this blighted area of our town for redevelopment? Without a master plan, they probably wouldn't consider that request. And also other funding applications for grants and so forth. So that's, we've started our work. We've identified the district. We'd like to present that to council. We're looking at zoning for the district, which would be separate and distinct from the rest of our zoning in the community. We've started surveying the community. We've actually received back 89 surveys, canvassing Thursdays on Sweden, age-friendly Caribou, whatever event we can get our surveys out to people in the community, has been doing so. I think in your packet, we'll give you all a little bit of homework, if you would. Finish up that survey. If you've got other ideas that aren't in the quick, easy list, please list them. Everyone's idea is important. We'd like to hear more. If you have any questions, I'm here to do my best to answer.
This is the same survey you had down on Thursdays as well?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so
We
I've
did
already
that
done it.
already.
I just want to make this the same one. Any questions, council, for Ken? Or for Penny on this?
So I gather becoming an official committee of the city is actually an act of ordinance, and that would have to happen at council level.
So is this something you'd have to drop an ordinance and it'll have to be introduced just like?
I have in here a copy of Chapter 16, which is the cadet ordinance. And I think if the Riverfront Committee wanted to use that as a guide, they could probably come back with something, kind of using this as a template for your consideration.
You come back with something for us?
Put that forward and we can conduct a public hearing and all that.
Yeah,
kind of all the
bring that
rest.
to us get that on the agenda for August 9th meeting.
I don't know if you'll have time to do it
Well,
for
or
August
whenever you
9th.
get it to us, I
But when
guess.
you get it done, yeah.
It's all about the advertising at this point.
Yeah.
So, you don't get it.
14 days.
But I'm sure that we probably have this in Word document somewhere, so.
Very well.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Committee, Maine Municipal Election. What's this? Penny.
So this was in your council, this was a piece of mail that came. The Maine Municipal Association has an annual election. They don't have any process for write-in votes, so it's basically accepting their ballot. And so I was just looking for a motion to approve the slate and then authorize me to sign, and I'll send it back.
So moved.
Second.
Give a second for the Maine Municipal Association discussion from council. Air,
No.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone,
No.
Morale,
No.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie,
Aye.
no.
So what do you want me to do with it? Did you guys want to sign it instead?
Throw it
or-
in the trash.
Okay, so we're just not returning it?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you.
10B, Aroostook County ARPA finance position. And this, which is on page,
So it's on 71. So this is something I had sent before, but I forgot to follow up on it, so that's why it's in the packet today. So Aroostook County they are hiring someone to manage the American Rescue Plan money that's coming in through the county. And they are offering municipalities to also kind of buy into this coalition to pay for that person. Now, the county is hiring this person regardless. And right now, they have 22 communities that have signed on to participate. What they're asking for is 2% of our American Rescue Plan funds. So for Caribou, that's about $16,000. What we get in return is the person that they're hiring is going to be skilled in grant writing. They're going to be able to help. Like if we as a municipality want to request some of the county's money, and they have said that some of this pot of money is going to be available to municipalities. But for them to buy into these different projects, so we would have to pitch them an idea, and they say, okay, we'll fund that. Because of their reporting process, all of that paperwork has to be done by this fund manager that they're hiring because of the paperwork involved. And I don't know a lot about grants. I'm trying to learn a little bit on the fly, but there is a lot of paperwork involved. So everything has to be done by that fund manager. Now, that doesn't mean that we couldn't still apply if we don't join this coalition. What it means is that if we do request funds from the county, we're going to be billed at a rate for the work of that fund manager. If we pay into the program, we will not be billed if we get county funds. And in addition to that, when we're spending our own funds, if we need help with the paperwork and need help making sure that we have everything that's going to be required for us to submit our paperwork, that fund manager is available to us for us to be able to use their expertise, their knowledge to help with our spending of our allotment from our non-entitlement unit of Caribou, which I have, the latest projection in there is around $800,000. We don't have anyone on staff that does a lot with grants. I mean, again, we can learn stuff on the fly, but we're not going to have the expertise that this person is going to have that the county is hiring. So this is an opportunity, and I wanted to bring it forward.
No, Tom first, then Doug, please.
No, Doug, you go first.
Well, thank you. The $801,892 is earmarked for Caribou. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So did I misunderstand that we have to apply, if it's earmarked for Caribou, we still have to apply for it?
Well, okay, if you read their paperwork, Caribou will have to apply to the state to get their money put in their account because, you know, there's all kinds of paperwork. We have to have the right kind of numbers, and that's a process. But that money is earmarked for Caribou. We just have to apply for it, yes. What I'm talking about with the county is, so the county has, when they divvied up this money, a lot of different units of government got different pots of money. So with the county and their $13 million, the municipality of Caribou and other municipalities will have the option to compete for some of that pot of money that's in addition to this $800,000. So yes, to your question, and also yes, you know, to maybe the follow-up question of, do we have to apply for it? Yes. I don't think the state has their portal ready yet because they got an extension, so it isn't ready for us to apply yet anyway. But when we do find out, you know, we'll find out what we need to get that money.
For me personally is, I get it. And I think in the terms of tracking it and going after it, $16,000 probably not out of the realm. My problem is we have a county that's going to put a position on. We already pay our county taxes, and for me personally, with a big ass question mark as to what are we getting for that. I'm concerned about a position added. It's easy to add the position, harder than hell to get rid of it. And will this be another cumbersome burden on top that we have to continually pay for? As I said, I have major questions over what do we receive for what we do pay the county. Just my thought personally.
So it's just a matter of whether we, I guess in my mind is we pay $16,000 or we just pay as we go. Either way, right? I mean,
Well, they're looking for a commitment. Until we get money, we don't pay. Like, it's not something that we have to pay before we get this money. It comes from this money. So if we get it in 2 sections and you pay it 2% at a time. But I think Councilor Ayer has something he wants to say.
I'm sorry, you next.
So, will this person that the county is hiring do the paperwork for us for the state funds?
It's my understanding as long as they're going to have office hours. So we will need to contact them like during regular office hours. It's not that the county is going to be their first priority, you know. So the municipalities, then of course I think it's going to be like anything else. You're going to have a lot of people who try to get in there first thing. And there's going to be a lot of people that wait till the last minute, you know. So if we are just, and I think, you know, I'm a bit of a pest, and I think you get a lot of emails that start, when I forward them to you, the person I emailed, I started with, yes, this is Penny the Pest again, because I do try to follow up on things so that they don't drop. And
No, I'm
it
not
may be
questioning that.
yeah, it may be a situation where we have to prod them a little bit, but yes, they are available for us to use for our 800,000.
Okay,
That's
so
part of the perks of
we would be
this.
23, we would be the 23rd municipality, supposedly, if other municipalities don't
Yeah.
get in ahead of us. So there's state money and then there's federal money.
I think it's all federal money, but
all
the
federal.
state has some, and
And the county
and the
has.
county has some. You have
So-
tribal units that have some. You have Caribou, who is a non-entitlement
So-
unit that has some.
Right in here, in your memo, it says the city of Caribou was expected to receive 801,892. This person that they hire, who's to say they don't have bias towards Holton or Monticello or Presque Isle, and they're gonna put them ahead of us?
Well, we just have to make our application better than those
You have the
people,
best
so
application
that
in
it's
the
a
world.
no-brainer that, well,
But-
we're going with Caribou because they have the better application. Presque Isle is deciding this week, so I can't tell you that those municipalities are going to be in that mix.
I agree with Doug. $16,000 is a drop in the bucket compared to 801, and we have some real big infrastructure ideas here that would definitely help for this. My thing is that I don't want them to say, oh, well, you're expected to get 800,000, but really because, well, Presque Isle got this, or Van Buren got this, or Fort Kent got this, you know, we spend this money and we don't get the best benefit.
Well, this isn't competitive. This 801,000, this they use their calculations to figure out, you know, it's based on population and state valuation, and they come up with a formula. And so they have the pot of money, they have their formula, and this is what Caribou has. Caribou doesn't have to compete for this 801. What Caribou would be competing with is on that 13 million that the county has. And they haven't decided yet how they're going to divide that up. You know, what is going to be a county project that they're going to fund? How much is going to be available for municipalities to also get? This is all a moving target.
So it sounds
right
like
now.
there's two different pots of money here.
Yes, there's lots of different pots of money.
Okay, so.
There are. I mean, to answer your question, yes, there's different pots of money, and this position kind of deals with two of them. The county's pot of money and then Caribou's pot of money. This person can help manage both.
If we were to say no to this, we're not at risk of losing the 800,000.
No. It's just your in-house staff is going to be trying to figure out the best way with the skills that we have, which is going, you know, to figure out the best way to do the paperwork on that stuff. You're not going to necessarily miss out on county money either. It's just you're going to be billed like a per hour charge for that person to handle your stuff.
Jody, I'd like to ask the wise opinion of John. What do you think?
Well, my question is, I'm sitting here, the question I want to ask is, when we were on the phone the other day for broadband, they were talking about taking the $13 million and basically distributing it to the entire county, almost on a prorated basis. So my question to you, Penny, is based on, in a way, how the state figured this number, what number would they have given for Caribou? If we want to do it from a fair prorated share, it's based on taxation, our portion of the county budget, how much would that $13 million be divided? Because that's going to be my question later on in the executive session.
That I don't know. I mean, we can ask them about that, but I don't know.
County budget today, what percentage do we pay of the county budget today?
I don't, I can figure it out. I have the county tax bill right
Just
here,
curious.
you know, but.
And then I would take that number and multiply times 13 million to see what our potential share would be from a fair, equitable way of dividing it rather than one over the other.
Oh, you know what, I don't, because this isn't my commitment folder, because I usually sit there as the tax assessor, and I would have that folder, so I don't have it here. But when Carl and I were at the meeting, when they're talking about divvying it up fairly, what they talked about was, okay, we're going to have, we're dividing it according to districts. So, you know, the first district that elect their county commissioner, they would get a certain amount for District 2. And I don't know if that's based on the percentage of the county tax bill. Of course, Caribou is one of the big payers of that because, you know, we have a higher property fiscal capacity than other towns. So if you're using that methodology, then yes, Caribou would get a bigger portion than, you know, probably a lot of these other 22 communities, which may be smaller ones. I asked specifically about Presque Isle and was told they're voting on it this week. I don't know about Holton. I don't have an answer about that, about them. You know, they would be the 3 larger ones.
That's how I'm looking at it from the
Right, and I'm not saying that that's how they say fair. I mean, we all have our different ideas about how we think is a fair way to divide things up. I mean, it's the same thing with a plate of cookies. Like, we might think that it's fair, you know, something different. And
no, but if you at least started with how we're getting passed.
but yes, yeah.
At least get a rough number.
Yeah. I don't have that in my folder tonight, but.
Joan, please.
That $16,000 takes us to the end of December 2024.
Correct.
So it's a little over 3 years that we'll use that.
Or 2026, right, Carl? Because you have until 2026 to spend the money, but 2024.
Projects
was-
have to be approved by December 2024, but you
So-
have up until December 2026 to actually spend the money.
Okay, so there's a 5-year period then. Would that grant writer be available for other grants that you know, like?
That I don't know.
You
I
don't
think
know.
it was mostly geared towards
Just that.
this. That's my understanding. I did not ask that specific question, but it's my understanding it's just about this.
Just this one.
And I have a feeling that they will be very busy with just this.
Yeah.
When you say just this, do you mean the 800,000, give or
Well,
take? or
and
do
the
you mean-
13 million from the county, and then the 22 communities that have, you know, signed on, if they're also providing support to them, then they will also be helping them with their pots of money also.
That's my concern, is how much time is this person really going to have
Right,
to devote
exactly.
to each community?
Yeah,
so.
yeah, exactly, because, you know, if you're working a 40-hour a week, and that's, like, if you look in the agreement, that's when the person is available, is, you know, roughly 40 hours a week, then,
Can I just get my two
yeah.
cents worth? So my biggest reason why I support this and think we should do it is because they said that if we write a grant, this person is automatically, or like, they're gonna be able to determine, okay, this is acceptable, like, right away. I would hate for us to spend a lot of time in-house writing a grant. It gets to them and they say, no, it's not acceptable. So this person's gonna have the expertise on knowing what's gonna be acceptable and what's not. So it's really, you could be spending a lot more than 16,000 trying to put a grant together and then get turned down. Or this person is gonna be able to say, yes, this is good, or no, it's not good, right from the beginning.
Yeah,
thanks,
that's my
Brian.
question again, is once again, I mean, you commit to the $16,000, we just pay them by the hour. I mean, that's either
Right,
way.
that's your choice.
It's either way. I mean, we're going to get the.
So
Go ahead. No, excuse me, Mark was first.
no,
Let Mark
go
go.
ahead. No.
Mark.
I'm telling you, man, there's so much money flying around this country, I don't know who's gonna pay for all this, but fair enough. Smarter brains than me know how to run this country. Let me ask you something, is this the pot of money that I've been hearing about, that people always say, but it comes with a lot of strings attached to it?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, no, but there
Right.
was a pot
Yes,
of money
yeah.
that was floating around that didn't have hardly any strings attached, but this was the one
Right.
that has strings attached to it.
Right, there's a
Okay.
portion of this, and Carl and I talked about, there's a portion of this without strings attached, but that's a calculation that the finance department will need to do once we have audited numbers. They can go in to see like what our actual loss was, and the way it was explained to us at the county meeting, that it's not going to be a lot of money, but
Oh.
that will not have those strings attached. The bulk of this is going to.
If that's the case, then I guess I'd have to go to what Carl's suggestion was. Is it's a government program. Who- I mean, you can sit down here and sit there what makes sense and what doesn't. It doesn't matter. It's whatever they say. And this is the guru that's going to, well, whoever they pick
Right, right.
will be the person that say, and that's going to cut a lot of time,
Oh, for sure.
in my opinion. I agree with Doug, though. I mean, we're creating another position, but I'm on a train here, and it won't stop.
So when are they thinking about hiring this?
It had been advertised, but I noticed when I was preparing the packet that it was no longer advertised at the county's website. So I'm thinking they must be pretty close to hiring someone.
Oh, Doug, sorry.
Didn't mean to wake you.
Yeah. Long day.
Although I'm afraid of this position, not afraid, but concerned about the position, I weigh in my mind the 16,000 that we would pay for this person, or do we go out and try to find a grant writer? I can't say myself what that cost would be. And, again, we're not talking a grant writer that's on staff for a year.
Right.
What that window of time is, I'll go back to my statement that $16,000 is probably not unreasonable, other than the fact that I hate the thought of them. Anyway.
What do we, it's a question, I think Tom's brought this up before, grant writer, you know, for 16,000, if we get more money back to offset that 16,000, or something that we don't lose, or in the works, it doesn't take a lot. I mean, it is a lot, 16,000.
But
One-
you're getting more than 1 year's use out of it too.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then
this
I
is,
think glad that
you
you
know.
brought that up, because you actually get several years use out of it.
Well, and it's not coming out of our pocket to begin with.
No, it's just coming out of the,
Well, it is.
Well, it is,
Well,
because it's
yeah,
less money that you'll
yeah,
have to
coming out of the
spend
county,
out
yeah.
of that 800 and
I just don't have very much faith in the county. I mean, we're having to release prisoners downstairs because we can't send them to the county jail.
I don't know.
Which, by the way, is something we pay money towards in our county taxes. I mean, I don't know. I know. Oh, man. There are a lot of issues down there.
So is there a time frame we have to decide on this?
Well, yeah, it was like last week, but I asked them for an extension
July
because I had
17th,
forgot to put it on
16th.
the previous agenda.
Not yet.
I move that we go ahead and utilize the services in order to make everybody's job here a whole lot easier.
I will second that.
Move to second it, well, basically you're saying move ahead with the,
The 16,000. yeah.
Right, to
where's the
join that,
county or
Yeah.
to join the other municipalities.
ARP service contract with the county, yep.
discussion? Air,
Yeah.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
Morale,
Aye.
Carriel,
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. That was,
Good.
okay, so let's one more. It's 10C, dangerous buildings at 37 Home Farm Road.
So this is kind of a follow-up from last meeting. This is our last stinker on the list because the rest have all, we've got the others pretty well resolved. So this one, we have had a lot of promises of getting things done. We haven't got anything done. So I just want to move forward with staff obtaining bids to tear the house down. in accordance with our dangerous building.
Hey, you guys want another property?
So you're asking to move forward to get.
Yes, to
quotes.
get bids.
Get bids to bring back to
Yes,
us.
because there's
Okay.
there's not been any action on that,
Okay.
so.
Real simple.
And he's passed his 2-week.
He's, yeah, and I haven't
I'm
heard
done.
anything. I think I received an email from him maybe the morning of our last meeting, and again, I'm a pest, I own that. And I email him and say, hey, what's the deal here? You're literally the last one. Everyone else, we have resolved. And I got nothing, like nothing. Not even leave me alone or something. It was nothing, so.
So, just to back one more question, sorry,
No,
Tom.
go ahead.
If we wanted to, and if discussions with Big and we wanted to put that property in their hands, we wouldn't necessarily go to bid with it, right? Or do we still go to bid and make the call after the bids have come in, after discussion?
Well, the person still owns it and they're current on their taxes, so these other properties that we're talking about are properties that have delinquent taxes. But what would happen is, when we tear the property down, then we do a supplemental assessment at our next commitment. So in 2022, then there'll be the regular tax bill, and then there'll be a supplemental assessment for the cost of demolition. And that's how the Sincock Street, that's how we ended up with that, was because it was a dangerous building that got torn down. Same thing with Birdseye. It was the same process. Having a supplemental assessment for
Right, but you're talking in terms
cost.
of having to tear it down. There's not an option between, which is, and if the foundation's good on that, that could be renovated.
Right, and that's what
flipped.
Dr. Belinsky has talked about right along, was rehabbing the property, but the time for him to do that, I mean, we're almost to August, and we've been playing around with this since like January, with no resolution on any of
Well, I
that.
agree.
yeah.
I moaned about it, I think, at the last meeting, that people that we've worked with, if they haven't
Yes, yeah.
fulfilled their
Haven't followed
promise,
through,
then by
right.
God, we're gonna, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
How does council want to move forward with this?
To get bids?
Get bids, yeah.
Yes.
Get bids.
Is that a motion?
Make motion to get bids.
Second.
Second. Discussion? Air?
Yep.
Boma?
Aye.
Gone?
Aye.
Morale?
Aye.
Theriot?
Yep.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Here's some bids.
Jody. Chief, whatever happened to controlled burns? Is it because the insulation and all that? Can't we just burn this thing?
There's a process. DEP is like really cracked down on everybody. That's why you really don't see it much.
Mm.
It's not undoable. It takes some legwork, and I have to have
A
permission.
whole bunch of, so it's just easier to just tear it down.
Depends where it is. This one's
Right in the middle down.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is now, if you get demolition costs, now you gotta pay to abate it, don't you?
Well, I think that we have worked through some of that. If we can obtain permission to have it done and say, okay, we have a cost to tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
If we get their permission, then we don't have that issue.
Okay.
And we're not taking ownership. I mean, some of the problem is when the city owns the property,
Yeah, we have to abate it.
then that's
Yeah.
different. We don't own this property. We're working
It's
under the
much better to
dangerous
do it
building ordinance. Yeah.
Then the other way.
Yeah.
A lot better to do.
So,
Okay, number 11, A, I'm going to address that. I have a letter here I'd like to read. We opened up from Mayor from the RSU 39. Mayor Jody Smith, a council member, City of Caribou, 25 High Street. Dear Mayor and Caribou City Councilors, RSU 39 will be hosting a ribbon cutting ceremony and open house on Thursday, July 29, 2021. The ribbon cutting ceremony will begin at 3 p.m. with tours of the new pre-K grade 8 community school to follow and will run through 6 p.m. The general public is welcome and encouraged to come see the state-of-the-art facility. Come see the state-of-the-art facility. On behalf of the RSU 39 Building Committee, Board of Education, we cordially invite you to attend. This project included several unique challenges that required a strong working relationship between the City of Caribou, RSU 39, Maine Department of Education, PDT Architects, and Bowman Contractors. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have not been able to have an official open house for the general public. I feel the time has come. The new school will meet the learning needs of students for many decades while enabling a significant financial savings to the RSU and community members. We hope you will be all able to join us. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions for this event. You can go ahead and put that in the minutes, please.
29th, you said?
Yep.
Okay.
This Thursday, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's when we're gonna have our airport committee meeting, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. We can change that.
So we're gonna change it now.
Well, I've already had a tour.
I have.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we go at 3 and
We'll go at 3 and then we'll come here.
then we'll come down here.
Sure, that works, sure. I'd like to go up there, actually.
Yeah.
We'll go up there. The airport
Upstairs?
committee meeting.
We'll have it up
No,
there.
no. up
Oh,
there.
you want to
Have
go
it at
to
the
the
airport,
airport
yeah.
for the committee? Okay.
So airport committee is going to be at the airport.
Yeah.
Just send out a reminder email, got a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
on
have
the
to send it out.
reports and discussion by mayor and council members, I'm going to give an update here. There's some emails floating around here. On the city manager search update, just to give a brief update, approximately March, Dennis Marker gave us his notice that he was moving on. His last day of employment was on July 3rd, I believe, last official day. Throughout that process, we, as a council, decided to hire Maine Municipal Association to help us with the search. They did the advertising and came to us with a list of candidates, which we narrowed down to a shorter list. We had a first round of interviews with the council, and we got to a shorter list to 2 people at the end. We have recently conducted those second round of interviews. The second round of interviews included a meet and greet supper at the Caribou Motor Inn with the candidate, followed the next day with a tour of the city. There was all kinds of different city facilities. There were some farm tours involved in the update. Following with the second round of interviews, which was on July 20th, is that last week? July 20th.
Yep.
After that second round of interviews, after the interview, council has made an offer to a candidate. That's how I'll leave it. We are in the process of negotiating an employment contract. And that employment contract will, subject to negotiation of both parties, will come back to council at a future date for a vote. So that's, I'm on that. And anybody have any questions about this? Mr. Gohan?
We're not allowed to mention the candidate's name now?
We can. I'll mention the candidate's name. The candidate's name's right here.
Where? Oh, no, it's not, oh, okay. Well, I want to say that it's a great moment that you should take great pride in. Your hard work while you've been employed within the city has been exemplary, and many people have commented on it. We went through the process. I thought you did extremely well, extremely well. I especially appreciated the dinner, and I especially appreciated the half hour you spent on the porch with me. And I can only tell you, without getting too far into detail, by far, hands down, you're a great choice.
Thank you very much.
And really, I mean, it should be you should be proud of the work you've done. I was unable to vote please, I was unable to attend the meeting. And the fact that I didn't vote, please do not allow that to send any kind of mixed signal to you of how I would have voted if I was there. So you would be congratulated, young lady. You really are. I've watched this thing for 35 or 40 years, this body, and I couldn't think of a better choice.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to, on this discussion? As I said, we're in the process of negotiating a council, at a later time, a full contract, employment contract will come before us and will be public. And we're handling that through MMA, and hopefully we can have something potentially at our August 9th meeting, but I don't want to get ahead of the game. So the cat's out of the bag. I think everybody.
It has been.
I think everybody pretty well know, but so. Okay. Anybody else on this reports? Yes, go ahead.
No.
Tom.
I'd like to make a motion that we take the extra money remaining from the mill rate being set and put it in a line item so that the council has full discretion to divvy out the funds where they are necessary.
You're talking the one money from the school?
Money
That
from
we
the
want that line
school
item.
and all the money from the state.
Okay, so we have a motion to put that in a line item.
Second.
Second discussion. There.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
No, because I don't know how you're gonna do it, but I'm gonna vote no.
Okay. Morale.
I'm a no. I would like to see them voted separately. The school money's a no, but if we're gonna talk about the 800,000, if that's am I understanding it correct, that the 800,000's in this decision also? If it is,
No,
then
that wouldn't be part of it.
Okay.
From
Just the school?
I was talking, no, this is the school and then the sharing, the revenue sharing.
Okay.
And all that stuff.
Okay, so you're gonna. Okay, so that's been clear. Did you get that clarified in the motion, what he's got
I
there?
got, I guess, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, what the actual motion was, excuse me? What's the money?
It's the revenue sharing money, it's the money
Okay.
from the school.
So you're talking about the overlay, the
The
amount of the
overlay.
overlay.
Okay, there we go. It's clarified. So we were at
Gone. Morale.
morale.
no.
Dario,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
aye. Motion carries. Under reports and discussion by mayor and council members, we'll start down here with Doug. Do you have anything you'd like to throw under here?
Yeah, I'd like reports. We're still under reports.
Yeah, reports and discussion.
The TIF issue that we had a little bump in the road on that you sent emails.
Yes,
Was
yeah.
that resolved?
No, I thought we could talk about that under executive session
Okay.
12B.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got ahead
Oh,
of the card again.
okay, the TIF was
What's
under.
that?
I got ahead of the card again.
Yeah, no, that's okay, that's okay.
Gosh, Doug.
I know it.
Dong, what do you got, anything you want to throw out there?
Yeah, this safety vest thing with the fire department.
Yep.
I want the citizens of Caribou to know that a year ago, when at the time Councilor Kirkpatrick and Councilor Morrell, we went over to the fire department to look at what needed to be done for the roof, and while we were there, Chief Susi had talked about the puncture-proof safety vests for the guys and the paramedics. It's no mystery that we have got a drug problem. Guess what happens when you give somebody Narcan and
Right.
you take away their high? They're very angry, and people get hurt. I think some of them already have been. So I, at the time, had looked to our former city manager, Dennis Marker, to say, what can we do? And at the time, I think the quote was like $7,500. Yeah, we'll check it out and everything. So time went by, and I asked him again a couple months later, what are we doing with the safety vests? Well, we're looking to build it into the budget. Time went by again. Previous manager resigned, and I learned from Chief Susi that he wouldn't hear I'd tell of it. That's hence my rant earlier today. I think this is something important. The personal protective equipment and to keep somebody's life safe. It's the same thing with the bulletproof vest for the police department. I mean, $9,000 out of a 11 million plus budget. You're talking about $9,000 to keep how many paramedics? 15? 16 paramedics safe when they're out in the field dealing with these crazies? Quite frankly, I think we ought to figure out how to do this. This is crazy. I mean, why wouldn't you have done that? You know, I'm sorry, Penny, I'm talking to you because
That's
I'm
okay.
usually used to looking over that way.
That's okay.
But why wouldn't we have done this? You know, the reason why the price went up to 9,000, obviously, we're in crazy times and it's hard to get material and stuff. But Chief, if we got these within the next 2 weeks, what's the lead time? You think?
Gonna be sized and measured. I need more than one quote. I'm not.
Okay, so
Get us a quote.
can we at least have a consensus? Go out and get these quotes, get everybody sized up, and figure this out so we can get
Something back to Penny.
yeah, so we can get vests on these guys when they go out to these Narcan, or even just out as paramedic. You never know what you're going to go into. So I'd like that to be a priority. I was really miffed when Chief Susie and I were talking down in the police station parking lot before a meeting one day, and he told me that. $9,000, come on.
Well, if we get us, definitely get us some solid numbers back to Penny, and we'll get it on the next, as soon as we can on the agenda. If council have any issues with that, getting a price to them, we'll vote on it. Courtney? What do you
Nothing
got?
for me today.
We had an investment committee meeting just before the council meeting tonight. We just throw a few things around, nothing spectacular. Joan, got anything? You got an airport coming up, right?
Airport, charter committee.
Lou?
I don't have anything.
I think, Mark, you got anything you'd like to?
No.
Okay, so that's gonna, need a motion to go, let's start with, so we don't have anything under 11A, right? There's no personal items, we don't need to discuss anything regarding the city manager, that's all been taken care of. So 12B would be real estate and economic development.
So moved.
Second?
Seconded, Air.
Yep.
Boma.
Aye.
Gone.
Yes.
Morale.
No.
Dario.
Yep.
Willie.
Yes.
Yes, executive session, thank you, folks. And I believe this is gonna be, make sure your microphones are off here, people. Yep.
I was working back in the day when Connie was here.
So.
Wait, what year is this one?
2004.
2000, I just graduated high school.
Hello.